Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Life, Liberty, Happiness. And we'll start off today. We have a special guest with us, but we'll get to him later on. Bart Warner, town manager, will be joining us later on. With us today, we have Woody.
Hello.
And DW is sitting in with us again today.
Hello.
So they'll pipe in from time to time and give us feedback.
He's over in the corner. He's in the Grove Street lounge chair. That's what he's in.
Timeout section.
Yeah, so people may not know this. We'll eventually we'll go live.
Yes.
And we'll probably have a camera, things like that.
Yep.
So you'll see what the studio looks like.
Yeah.
But until then,
Yeah.
the studio used to be Liberty Landscape Supply and is now Watts Creative Studios.
Mm-hmm.
And inside you've got brick, the old brick exposed,
Water leaks.
Yep. Exposed ductwork.
We call it indoor water features.
That's
That's
right.
what we call it here.
It is a water feature.
It is.
And DW is, we have a round spool that you would carry cable, large
Yeah.
round. And,
And that was in the warehouse.
yes. So that's,
I just rolled it in here.
we repurpose. We are
That's it.
environmentally
Environmentally safe.
friendly. Yes. So we have that as our table, and we have microphones around it, and then you have this leather chair that sits in the corner.
You know, in Richlands, this will be a formal dining set. I'm just saying.
Or TV stand.
Or both.
Well, and believe it or not, I think the podcast actually reaches Richlands, which is should be interesting.
We've had the internet since 2007.
Oh, wow.
I understand.
It'll be as big as Bedford soon. So, anyway, that's kind of just a little description of where we're recording. Woody, do you have any feedback on last week's episode? Like any statistics or is our audience growing or shrinking?
It is steadily growing.
Good.
And I noticed one thing that I appreciated from the last episode was the amount of feedback, emails, Facebook likes, and messages that we got. So one, that is very much appreciated because it tells us that people are actually listening, and that is what we want. We want people to
Yes, we
good,
want
bad,
feedback.
whatever. Like whatever you think I sound horrible to say, we don't care. Like
Right.
just give us some feedback. And so that this last episode was fantastic for that. So thank you everybody.
Yes, and keep doing it. So later on, we'll give out the email and let you know how you can contact us, things like that. So our first segment is what's happening. In this segment, we always kind of give a brief update of things that are going on in Bedford and around Bedford and in the United States, if we really want to get into it. So right now, we still do not have anybody that has stepped up for the Elks Home lighting. And that's okay. We're going to keep bringing it up every week. As our audience grows, somebody will respond, hopefully, and we can keep that tradition moving.
Do you know that I learned how the lights got started this week? So I did an interview at the Bedford Museum, and it got started from a guy named Thomas Sidonia. Did I say his last name right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he brought it to Bedford because he saw the lights from another family. They were doing the whole decorations and everything because they had lost a baby and they were making the other children happy. So what an innocent, pure way to start a tradition back in the 50s, you know. So but that video should come out sometime this week, next week, sometime like that. So the more you learn about this, the more you want it to
Keep going.
Yeah, you don't want it to go away because it is like it just started with such a sweet, innocent, like just to make kids happy. That's it.
Right.
As simple as that.
That's neat. Well, we hope people will step up and keep that going. The next thing I had was sports in Bedford. So the reason I had that is high school sports have been kind of thrown into a loop with the COVID-19. Yeah. So it's been an ever-changing deal, but we're supposed to be kicking off high school sports here in December.
Oh.
And so I just kind of wanted to let people know that we'll probably have the head basketball coach over at Liberty High School in sometime in the near future, kind of talk about the struggles that they've had, how their season, how he's looking for this season, any changes in the program, things like that. And I even mentioned that you and I have talked about possibly we may end up doing a home game or two live or something
that'd be
and
fun.
streaming so people could watch
That's
it.
right.
So
We talked about that pre-COVID, like like how
yeah.
get it to people. So yeah, I love that idea.
So we'll kind of dive a little bit into that in the future, but that's something you maybe want to look out for. And so that was my little sports in Bedford segment, and we'll kind of, as time goes on, basketball, we'll move into football because football's going to be in February this year.
Gosh, that's so weird.
Yeah, that's very weird.
Yeah.
And
I don't know
so
how I feel about that. I mean, I'm thankful, but my mind is football is fall. Like football late summer. So I'm gonna have to get my head around that.
and I do want to make sure I put a asterisk on this that when I say football, I don't mean soccer. Soccer's going to start too, but after football.
You mean the real football, right?
So anyway, I just wanted to clarify that to make sure people understand what I'm trying
That's
to say.
because I'm wearing my Minuteman soccer T-shirt.
As I
right?
saw that. So, but anyway, I just thought I would throw that out there. And something else I had in my notes was for future podcast. I talked about this a little bit with my stepson who's down at LSU. They've been listening, and so I told him, I said, hey, in the future, if we did a little segment like college campus segments where we could go live and you do just some updates of what's going on college campuses. So I got to thinking about it, and I thought, you know what? We've got enough kids from Liberty High School that I think this could turn into a neat little segment.
Yeah.
Not just Logan at LSU, but we've got kids at Virginia Tech. We've got kids at East Carolina, at Clemson.
That's a good idea.
So we could do a little college segment from these students
That's
that have
right.
gone from Liberty, see how things are different.
Yep.
They're experiencing something different than Bedford.
That's right.
And just kind of want to get a feel for.
Do they miss the small town, or are they?
I can
Do
answer.
they have
Embracing
Christmas
it.
lights where they're at?
Yes.
How are the parades there?
So anyway, that's something for the future to look forward to. I think we might be able to pull that one off. So with that being said, let's welcome in Bart Warner.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Thank you, Bart. For those who don't know and live under a rock, Bart is the town manager of Bedford. And just to kind of give a little backstory, Bart and I are actually neighbors as well. It's funny because I was thinking about this. Here's a quick story before we get into the interview with Bart, and he's going to laugh. So I am between Bart and then my other next door neighbor is the Schneiders. So Mike, well, I will say this, and I'm not just saying this because he's here, but we were fortunate to have two great neighbors on both sides, and all around, but those two specifically. So as you live there, the longer you live there, you realize early on, Mike is the doer. So Mike's going to do everything, right?
Yeah.
Bart and I think are cut from the same cloth. Because let me tell you how this goes. Man, you hear that lawnmower crank up, and immediately anger comes on my face and anger comes on Bart's face. I know this because we've talked about this.
Yeah.
Once he mows, we have to
I
mow.
know it. I hate that.
We just don't usually do it 3 times a week. Like
Exactly. And one time I even look out there and he's got a it's one of the old push lawnmowers that's not electric. Like
It's got the blades that like
Yes.
turn, like the
Yes.
cycle, whatever you call it.
And so this story gets even better. So after years of that, I mean, literally like, oh, you kidding me, Mike? He's mowing again.
but we love Mike and Alicia and their darling children.
No, we do. And
They're
so
great neighbors.
Bart
In fact, we like them better than Brian. But
Bart goes out and buys a John Deere riding lawnmower. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
I come home one afternoon and see him on that thing, and I start laughing to myself because it takes approximately 4.5 minutes to mow on a John Deere riding lawnmower, with 3.5 minutes of that just getting on it and getting it out of the shed. Like 2 swipes and you're done,
That's
right?
it. That's it. Quick work, Bart. That's efficient, right? That's it.
So Bart says to me one day, "Hey, it's easy for me to just do your yard while I'm at it
Man.
if you want me to." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not going to say no." And he says, "Well, how about this? I can't get inside your fence." And so inside my fence is a little area, 50 by 40 or something like that. And then in the front, there's a little strip of grass between the sidewalk and the pavement that we're required to do. And so he said, "You do the strip of grass and I'll cut the rest of it." And I said, "That sounds like a great idea." The first time we do this, right? My wife comes home. "What in the world are you doing? You have one job to do, and that's to mow the grass. And now you have
outsourced mowing the grass."
outsourced mowing the grass." I said, "No, I still have to do the strip in the front."
And you can tell, Ashley, that the chances of being killed doing the grass strip are exponentially higher than mowing the yard.
You got that right.
So I'm a pretty decent negotiator. I think I came out ahead on that deal.
You did, but no, I mean, I told her, "Look, I got to mow the strip, right?"
Yeah,
And
it's
she's
true.
like,
Yeah, that's
"Are
hard
you
work.
kidding me?" And I said, "You know what? Maybe if you were a little nicer to the neighbors, his wife would have came over and done our dishes for you." She said, "You've lost your mind." And I said, "Look, I'm nice to people. They're
Work
nice to
smarter,
me."
honey, not harder.
Hey, thank you.
On this episode of Life on Bedford Avenue,
So anyway, I just thought I'd get that out there because that is, and we have a really good time. All 3 families get together. I know for Halloween.
Burn plastic
and-
on the fire.
Oh God, we're not going there. DW, you got invited back because you bring humor. Let's not.
now I am
I think
glad
that's funny.
you told that story. In case anybody drives by and wonders, it isn't part of the town manager's job to mow a council member's yard.
Oh God,
So-
I didn't even think about
Oh,
that.
that's it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's an important disclaimer. I think.
Or a council member mowing the town manager's street.
No, I think that makes perfect sense on my end.
Oh, so anyway, we'll get into why I actually brought you in here, which is I wanted people to kind of get to know who the real Bart Warner is. Some people may think, town manager, they may not know where you come from, what do you do, this, that, and the other. So I thought I would give you a chance to kind of tell the people some of the stuff that I already know, but I think I'll learn some stuff along the way as well. So where now you call Bedford home, but where is your original home?
Okay, well, I was born in Richlands, which is out in Tazewell County, and not too many people are aware of this, but it is a cradle of civilization, akin to the Tigris, Euphrates, and the Nile, and the Amazon. And I say that because there are any number of weird Richlands connections that people don't know about. One of which I'm going to tell you. You mentioned high school sports.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Billy Hahn, who is the executive director of the VHSL,
That's right.
was the high school coach of the Richlands Blue Tornadoes when I was there, and was my wife's calculus teacher. So,
Oh, wow.
in addition to that, here in Bedford, there are a lot of us expatriates that are here as well. And some of these are pretty prominent names. Ben Schrader,
Mhm.
my generation, Katrina Beiser,
Mm-hmm.
Melanie Smith Johnson, Bobby and Linda Ratliff live out in High Acres.
So all of these are transplants from Richland.
Yes, and also Jim Cutler.
Unbelievable.
Jim is a Richlands native,
I
and
did not know that.
we like to joke. Bit of trivia here. Jim grew up the next street over from where I lived for most of my time there. So we tell each other that, yeah, Jim and I grew up and went to school together. Now, we were a few years apart, but
All right, so let's clear one thing up because that's fascinating. I did not know that. How do you properly pronounce? Is it Richlands or Richlands?
I'm going to answer that by saying you can pronounce it any way you want to. But if you say anything other than Richlands, those of us who are natives will know you're not from there.
Okay, that's fair enough.
That's the password. That's it.
It
That's
is.
clue.
It's the passcode. It's like
You're not
Stanton
one of us.
or Daint.
So one of the things that I know about Bart is his uncanny ability to understand music from the 80s. I oftentimes, like Bart can tell you, I've texted him 90% more about music from the 80s than I ever have about council or anything else. And he always has the response. I mean, he knows 80s music better than anybody.
There was the one time you stumped me on the Gap band because I always confuse them with the SOS band.
That is true.
Don't know why.
But that happened once. So I found something interesting that I wanted to pass on to him that he may or may not know. There is a Virginia singer and pianist who wrote a song set in Richlands.
Mm-hmm. Bruce Hornsby.
Look at that. Right on it.
Now-
right on it.
Backstory there.
Bruce.
Bruce's brother John went to law school with a guy from Richlands named Philip Earl, coincidentally, who graduated with my sister. So all these amazing connections. I
It's
mean,
like Kevin Bacon. 7 degrees
Yeah,
of
it's
Kevin Bacon.
7
That's
degrees of
exact-
Richlands.
It's 7 degrees of Richlands. Man.
Now, the other thing too is, not to get really drawn out and boring, I do have pretty deep family roots on my dad's side in Tazewell County, so that explains some of it. But my parents actually moved to Richlands in 1963 with the idea of staying for a year and then going back up to Delaware, which is where they were working. So, my life is really a series of cosmic coincidences.
Well, what was the name of the song that he wrote?
The Road Not Taken.
I'll be
And based on a story by Lee Smith, who grew up in Grundy, just up the road.
Look at this
Okay.
guy. This is
Well,
awesome.
I thought I had him on that one, but again, I failed.
And he didn't even hesitate, Brian. Like I
No,
was
I
like, he
know.
was on that.
It's a ringtone.
From the Scenes from the South Side album, released circa 1990, I want to say.
Okay. Well, I thought I had you on that one.
Brian's throwing away all the rest of his notes. He thought he had you.
All right, so born there, you go to Virginia Tech, right?
Yes.
All right, so at what point in time in Virginia Tech are you saying, I want to get into government?
Okay.
At some point?
Actually, I can tell you, I had an interest in government and politics at a really early age. And I went away to Virginia Tech with the notion of going there, going on to law school, going back home and running for Congress.
Oh, wow.
But in my studies in political science, I saw a class entitled Public Administration. And the gentleman who was the town manager in Richlands when I was growing up, a guy named Coleman Brittle, was a really good friend of my family's and was a mentor to me personally. And, I just was intrigued by what he did. And then I took that class in Public Admin and really got into the nuts and bolts of it and just found that was really interesting. So I actually changed my major to public administration right during my freshman year at Tech.
Okay.
And that was a combination of several different disciplines. In fact, it was a new curriculum. I keep hitting this thing. Sorry. It was a combination of political science, management, economics, and urban planning. And because it was so new, they kept changing the requirements. And oddly enough, they kept changing the history classes I had to take. So I added a second major in history just because I liked it. And I've always been interested in that.
Okay.
But then they kept changing it so much that I wound up graduating in history instead.
Hmm.
But along the way, I had some really great instructors. And again, this is weird coincidence time. One of whom, the guy who taught me public budgeting, very impressive individual. He was the budget director for 2 consecutive governors, one Republican, one Democrat. And I'm talking about John Dalton and Chuck Robb. Gentleman by the name of Dick Zodi. Now, if that last name rings a bell,
Greg.
he's the father of former Bedford County Planning Director
Gotcha.
Greg.
I'll be there.
One of my favorite professors, and just again another weird coincidence. But
So, where was after Tech?
after Tech, I went to the University of North Carolina at Charlotte, and basically the reason I went to Charlotte was because of a girl.
I was going to say that's when Tara came into the picture. Your wife.
Actually, it goes back before that. Tara,
That was at band camp when it started.
I'll have to edit this part out.
uh, no, I met my wife in 3rd grade, actually, back in Richlands.
Holy cow!
What?
And we didn't get married then, although sometimes that happens back home. I did ask her to go steady in 7th grade, and she said no.
Mm.
And then we were just really good friends. And senior year in high school, we she decided to take a chance and go out with me. And thank God she's never reconsidered that. But,
That'll be nice.
and so really, now every member of my family went to Virginia Tech, and it's a great school, and I've been a Hokie fan all my life, and there's 8 million reasons why I should have gone there, but really I went to Tech because that's where Tara was going. So,
Okay.
and
That's a
then,
good reason.
so then when it came time to go to graduate school, I had actually applied several places, but my wife, who is much smarter than me, other than her choice and spouse, had enormous opportunities and had a really great job offer in Charlotte. So I just kind of tagged along to follow her. But my experience at UNCC, I have to clarify that, was fantastic. And also, Charlotte at the time was booming.
Yeah.
I moved there in 1993. During the 7 years we were there, the area doubled in size. And so part of my career actually began as part of the requirements for grad school. Charlotte, I had to write a thesis, had to pass exams, but I'd have an internship also, which I was working at the university, which would have satisfied that. But one of my classmates was working as a planner for a nearby city, and they were looking for somebody to build a GIS, which is funny because computers still aren't my thing, but
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to get in on that, and I became trained as a planner.
Gotcha.
And in a time and place where there was incredible growth. So again, the series of fortunate events in my life.
Right.
That's where I began my career, was in Charlotte as a planner, dealing with growth that was just incredible. I mean, the metropolitan area was growing by 10,000 people a month
Yeah.
at the time.
Wow.
So that was the beginning of my career, and that's my experience.
All right. So you're starting your career there. Things are starting to look up for you, and then Bedford happens. How does that get in the picture?
Well, it's kind of an odd story. First off, let me say Charlotte was great.
Mhm.
Loved living there. Never had a bad day. Still have dear friends
Mm-hmm.
and connections there. But, professionally, things were going really well for us. Personally, we had a couple of things pop up. In about 1998, my father-in-law was diagnosed with cancer and had a kidney removed, but everything turned out well. But that was, that gave us a bit of a jolt. They were still back here in Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
I had always kind of kept up with things back in Virginia because, again, my roots are here. I mean, I loved my time in North Carolina, but
Sure.
Virginia is my home, and it's been the home of my family for generations. So, I always kind of kept track of possibilities. And one time I was looking at a website back in November of 1999
Mm-hmm.
that was advertising the position of planning director for the city of Bedford, which was the similar position I held at the time then at Davidson, North Carolina. And, Tara and I talked about that. We both had a familiarity with this place because growing up in Richlands, I mean, it's not too far from here, frankly.
Right.
And I went to Boys State in high school at old Lynchburg College. Actually, it was last year it was at LC, which isn't LC anymore. So, I just had that awareness, and we just thought it would be, kind of a neat place to go. On a very personal note, I'll tell you, we were also looking for a fresh start because we were struggling with some infertility issues.
Correct. Yeah.
And, we had access to the best facilities in Charlotte, but, that just wasn't working out. And right along that same time as I saw that advertisement was when we lost what would have been our first child. And that was really devastating.
Traumatic
And we were really
experience.
looking for a fresh start.
Yeah.
So those were our motivations. I came here and interviewed with Craig Meadows, who was the city manager at the time. Somehow or another, convinced him to hire me. And, it was an abrupt change for us, but it was absolutely the right one. And it's something we prayed about a lot.
Yeah. Now, I mean, going back just a little bit, Tara, your wife, Tara was she had a pretty prominent role in Bank of America, right?
Yes, she was a vice president at the corporate level with Bank of America. Now, also at that time, again, it's hard for me to answer any questions without talking about spiritual things. And
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
one of the things I'm going to tell you is we are both practicing Christians.
Yeah.
I'm practicing because I'm still not very good at it personally. But Tara had a really lucrative career with the bank.
Yeah.
And felt a real pull towards youth ministry,
Mm-hmm.
and was in the process of answering God's call in that direction. So
That's
she had gone back to school to get a degree in Christian education and was working at the church we attended. And shortly after we moved here and I had taken my job, she went to work in youth ministry at Main Street Methodist Church. So again, it's
okay.
as much the hand of providence that led us here as anything else.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
That's
No,
pretty
that's great.
amazing. Yeah.
So you've been in Bedford now for 21 years?
Yeah, it'll be 21 years in April.
Okay. And for a long time, a lot of that was the assistant town manager job, right?
Yes, came here as planning director, and I guess I was promoted. I don't really think of it in those terms, to the position of assistant city manager at the time
That's right.
when Charles Kolakowski came as city manager, and
Mm-hmm.
did that for, I don't know, 10 years or so, seems like.
Mhm.
But did that in addition to my duties as planning director.
Correct. That never stopped your planning.
And along the way, at various times, I was the human resources director.
That's
and
right.
the recreation director, and for a very brief time, the finance director and the electric director.
Man,
Wow.
that's the Bart show. That's it. Right
So
there.
I got to
You're
learn. I
running everything.
got to learn a lot
That's it.
probably at the expense of other people. I'm afraid.
That's right.
Um,
All right. So, so you've got your feet wet, obviously, in a lot of different things within the town. So if Bedford always is described as the world's best little town, right?
Sure.
Do you have any story or anything that you think kind of describes that? DW and I have talked about it before, about just how things, I don't know, just going back to just us as neighbors. I mean, mowing grass and all that other stuff. But is there something that kind of sticks out with you as, man, this, because you and I have actually had this conversation of, we can live anywhere in the world and yet we choose to live here. So tell me why. I mean, why Bedford? What makes it the world's best little town?
Look, it's hard to pinpoint any one thing, first of all,
Sure.
but this is just such a uniquely amazing place. And I love the bit you do on here about what you don't know,
Mhm.
the famous people who've lived here before, things that have happened. There's an amazing concentration of stories like that here.
Yeah.
This town has a community orchestra. How many towns our size can say that?
That's a good point.
The people who are here are amazing. I mean, they're just good folks. I mean, I'm not saying this because you're in front of me, but our neighbors are amazing.
Right.
And
Yeah.
the day we moved into our house, the people who sold it to us brought us dinner.
Right.
And then all the neighbors came around and
That's
brought
right.
various things. And, it's
Yeah.
it's just that kind of small town thing. But
You just reminded me of the story when we moved in. Bart and Tara were digging a patio. And so, of course, working construction, I had access to a mini excavator. And one of the things that I wanted to do at my new home was to get rid of the previous owner had like a flower thing or something. My driveway is it's not circular, but it has, it's kind of horseshoe shaped.
Yeah.
So in the middle was, I think, supposed to be a flower bed, but it was junk,
Yeah.
right?
I think there was some kind of ritual sacrifice.
So
There's an altar.
every day there's Bart and Tara out there with a pick digging, little pieces of dirt trying to get this patio built into the back of their house. And here I pull up in a mini excavator and I wipe out the issues that I have and I go, hey, you need me to come over and finish digging out, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, we're pretty much done now.
Actually, we'd been at it for about 3 weeks, but you were able to finish it up in like 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Aw.
So I'm sure they were like, this guy. But it is one of those things where, and I mean, I could go on and on, but Bart how did you cut your hand?
Oh, I was trimming vines off of the trees that were kind of choking them with a weed clipper, which is the OSHA approved way to do that. And I wasn't paying attention and darn near severed the tip of my middle finger on my left hand.
And I don't know why, but for some reason I felt the need to make fun of him.
Because it was funny.
Because he's a good neighbor, right? Yeah, that's what it
Until
is.
I dropped a new toilet that I was
Uh-huh.
installing
Aha.
and sliced my thumb just about off.
That karma train that will get you.
And yes,
Karma's a
so
thing, I'm telling
It
you.
will. It will come
Here's
around.
what you don't do: you don't make fun of your neighbors, and if you do, you make sure they don't hear it.
That's right.
But it's all good.
Tip of the day.
All right, so good. That's so I always finish up our interview with the question of if you could choose anyone to meet and hang out with 24-hour period, all expenses paid, wherever you want to go, who is it and where do you go?
Now, and we're talking no time, any time in history? Or,
Any time in history. Yep.
okay, I got to give you a long, drawn-out backstory to give you the weird answer to your question. Most people know that my given name is Barrett. Well,
Correct.
or maybe people don't know that, but Bart's the nickname I've had since birth. That name came from my father's mother, my maternal grandmother, Elizabeth Barrett Warner. There were no boys to carry on the family name, so, when baby Bart comes along, they just thought that'd be a nice thing to do to honor the family. Now, the poignant thing about that is she died 4 years before I was born. She had leukemia, and in the 1960s, there was not the medical technology to deal with it. In fact, they didn't know she had it till after she'd passed. But, at the age of 47, my grandmother passed away, and I never met her. So I'm carrying the name of someone I've never met, but I'm glad to have that opportunity. But, if I could pick anybody in the world, it'd be my grandma Lizzie. And, I don't really care what we did or where we went.
That'd be neat.
Yeah. I mean, not only did I not know her, but that side of the family, I mean, pretty modest means we don't have pictures. We don't have a lot. So
It's funny you say that because, sorry.
it's not me calling us right now.
Live
What-
shows.
and
live
and
show,
you
that's
owe
what
me
happens.
you owe me some money, Brian,
Why?
because you said that it was going to be a 15-year-old Steve Rush he'd want to go back and hang out with.
I'd hang out with Steve.
Yeah,
I bet he was fun.
yeah, you did.
I did not say that.
We were
but-
standing outside. You said it before we came in here.
I got to think 15-year-old Mayor Rush was good to hang out
Oh,
with.
it probably was. But talking about going back to what you were saying, and this is true. My grandfather lived to be 92. In his last 2 or 3 years, he was always even in his last years, he still lived by himself at home. The issues we had weren't his physical issues; it was keeping him from doing things, hiding the keys to the tractor, things like that, right? So, someone did need to sit with him because he always had that possibility of a stroke when you get up to that age. So he had 5 children, so they would stay with him during the week. And then on weekends, they would have volunteers, any grandkids. Well, I volunteered as much as I could because he could tell a story.
Yeah.
And so they're originally from Lee County, right? And there's a newspaper, Tales from the Mountains, I think is on the back, or Tales from the something. But anyway, I would read those stories and I would ask him questions. Of course, he would elaborate for hours about it. But hearing you say that I would have loved to have gone back to when my grandfather was a young whippersnapper and just to see what he was like then, because I only knew him, as a granddad, and which was great because he was a farmer, and I've got nothing but fond memories of him. But knowing, just what was he like as a young dude?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
was he this rough, tough guy that I grew up thinking he was because he always looked, tough? Like, I mean, farmers, they just, they're brutal. They go outside and they do it all day long and just, come inside and, and sleep. Like we used to laugh and make fun of him because he would be in bed by 6:30. He only stayed up just to watch the local news, and then he went to bed. And of course, he was up at 4:00 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
But the funny part was on Saturday, he wouldn't go to bed till after hee haw.
Oh, you were one of those families.
Yes.
It was either Hee Haw or Lawrence Welk.
That's exactly
Back in the
right.
90s.
Yes. So,
And then Solid Gold came and delivered us all. Thank God.
well, Bart, I appreciate you coming in, and hopefully people learned a little bit more about you. I know I have.
Something I'd like to tell you, Brian, about Bart. You talked about how good a neighbor he is.
Here we
And,
go.
no,
Here we go.
this
Here we
is
go.
serious.
No, here we go.
Yeah. But, I work with Bart every day. And one of the things about Bart is he comes around every week and meets with the department heads to get caught up on stuff. The one thing I always tell Bart, tell him right now, tell everybody else that not only is he a great person, a great boss to work for, but he's also a mentor to a lot of us, including me.
Yes.
And one of the things when we have our meeting, he catches up on stuff going on in town. Where are we at with this project? Where are we going with that? But he always makes sure he asks, how's everybody doing here? Do we got anybody that's sick we need to pray about, think about? Anybody need anything? Anything we do to help? When we get snow, Bart's one of the first people picks up the phone. Hey, I'm not good at snow plowing, but I'll get behind the wheel if you need it. So,
And luckily, you've said no to that every time.
well, I think I'm gonna give him a chance. He's got practice on the mower. I think he's ready for a plow. That's right. But same time in the summertime, we're cutting grass. We get behind. He's always willing to help out. So he's a great person, mentor to all of us. So
If you could slip this
Yeah.
$20 bill over to,
We're not on TV, so nobody will know.
but that's a good thing that I wanted to add about him because he is just a good person all around too. So
I will agree with you, and that
Yeah.
adds to the laurel of Bedford.
yes.
Um,
Now I think it's something in the water on Bedford Avenue because both of you are Nats fans, and I'm not sure what's going on with that. But.
that's another. Bart and I had one of my things growing up as a kid. I dreamed of my whole life was going to a World Series or a championship game, right? And of course, I had teams that I kind of rooted for growing up, but I never had a team.
Yeah.
and the Nats were so terrible
Oh, yeah.
when they started it. Somebody had to love them. So
Right. That was
it
my
had to be
team.
us.
Right. We took that was our team, and they were awful. I
Yeah.
mean, you couldn't. What was great when I first started watching and going to games, you could buy a ticket for nothing and go into a park that was beautiful. I mean, one of the best parks out there, and you could sit anywhere. It doesn't matter where you purchased the ticket for. You could go anywhere in the stadium because they were bad, and they had batting cages and all these things for kids to do, right? To try to attract people to come. They start winning. Guess what went away first?
Yeah.
All those fun things and nothing but merchandise stores showed up.
That's right.
Who cares about the kids now?
Yeah,
Daggone
we
it.
don't need them.
So Bart and I, we used to go, at least once a year usually to a game. The families, we all went. So I told him, I said, you know what? If they ever make it, I'm going to try to get tickets. And so sure enough, when they made it, I don't know how I got the button hit right, but we got 4 tickets. Well, I did 4 tickets
yeah.
to game 4 of the National League Championship Series, right?
Yeah.
Actually, yeah,
It
yeah,
was
because
game
they
4
swept them.
because you and I both were laughing. Oh, it's going to be a great game to go to, but it's not the game, right? It's going to be maybe the Nats are won one game, and it could be, but no, they were up 3-0. And all right, let me give you a little tidbit about Bart when it comes to he's a pessimist when it comes to sports. Eventually, he's going to be right. He has to be.
Well, that's a life strategy that's worked for me overall.
So anyway, sitting with him during this game, you have to understand who he is and how he roots. I mean, the Nats go up 7-0. Am I right? First inning?
But they tried really hard to blow it. I'm just saying.
See, here we go. No, during the game. Oh, it doesn't matter. 7-0. They're up 3-0.
Yeah.
In a championship game 4. We're at the game 4. They're up 3-0, and they just took a 7-0 lead. I believe it was the first inning. All I heard, inning number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're gonna blow it. Yep. See, here they come. Cardinals would score a run. I told you, here they come. And it got to the end, and it did. It was very close. And I kept saying, no. And until that ball was hit in the outfield, I never will forget it. Just the and you're just waiting, And I know, like, in my mind, I'm like, all right, hurry up and catch it so we can celebrate, right? Let me just tell you what goes through his mind. Yeah. Oh, he'll drop it. There's no doubt about it. He's going to drop the ball. We're going to lose, and they're going to come back and win 3 straight games to beat us, right?
Yeah, but and not to pick a scab, but then the Virginia Tech Liberty game just
I was
happened.
just going to
So,
say the story you told me means even more now because
See, and I'm just telling you. So we had a blast that night. The place erupted. It was everything I dreamed of as a kid.
yeah,
Yeah, it was amazing.
It wasn't the World Series, but it was to get to the World Series, and it was the first time that city had been in baseball since 1934.
I'm trying to. It was certainly the first winning team since like 21. I want to say.
So I mean, it had been a long time coming, and the place went nuts. Now here's something I didn't know. I didn't know, not that I would know this, but their beer is everywhere. I mean, they're throwing it everywhere. Now, my wife and I have to drive. You guys drove back to Bedford, right?
I think we did.
We
Yeah, because it was a school night.
we got a hotel room somewhere, and it was about a 30-minute drive. So I just never will forget. We're walking out, and beer is getting thrown on you, right? So now we smell like beer. And I remember telling her, I got to drive. If we ever get pulled over, there's no way they're going to think that I'm worse than that. DC now, it's legal to smoke marijuana. So as you're walking out, everything is just, it's a haze of it everywhere.
Yeah, I don't remember that part. I'm not sure which section you were on.
Well, I had to ride, don't forget, I had to ride the metro
Yeah.
to get to our car. So yes, it was, we get out, and I told her, I said, look, we smell like marijuana, we smell like beer. I'm screwed if we get pulled over. There's no way they're going to believe
Bronze.
this.
Yeah, he's out. That's it.
So anyway, that was, but it was everything I imagined as a kid. It
We'll
was
save those memories because it won't happen again.
No,
someday.
you're absolutely.
I know that.
And who knew that would trigger the apocalypse in
Yes.
the world?
That's
The
what
Nats-
did it.
The Nats winning the World Series.
That's what did it.
Yes.
Opened that porthole.
Yes.
Well,
Sorry, but hey.
anyway, Bart, thank you again for stopping in, and I'm sure we'll have you back in the future. And
Well, thank you for the kind comments and DW. And
Yes.
listen, people should know this. The town manager's job, I'm just responsible for things, but that's really easy because the team we have is incredible. And
Yeah.
it's DW and all the department heads, Todd Foreman, John Wagner, Brad Creasy, Sonia James, Mary Zirkle, Gary McIver. And I should name all 92 employees because they're incredible. So, I've told you this as a council member. I'm the weak link in the chain here, and I know that. So I'm grateful to have the opportunity to work with these wonderful folks.
well, we sure appreciate it, and we think you do a good job. And well, like I said, we'll have you back in the future. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. So moving on to Bart's favorite segment that he said was the Nobody Knows. So this sometimes is difficult, but I consult with DW a lot on this, and I found this one, and I did not know this, so I am going to read it, and I'm sure, again, some people probably know this, but I didn't. So a gentleman by the name of Lawrence Cleveland, or Larry Chambers, he was the first African American to command a U.S. Navy aircraft carrier, and he is from Bedford. And I thought that was pretty, again, another person from Bedford that people probably don't know about. If you don't, Google it, research it. Again, the gentleman's name is Lawrence Cleveland Larry Chambers. He was born in 1929. He was the first African American to command a U.S. Navy aircraft carrier. And he was also the first African American to graduate the Naval Academy and reach flag rank. So that's an interesting tidbit for Bedford, and that is our Nobody Knows segment.
Man, that's awesome.
Our business highlight for this week, Bridge Street Cafe. So I can talk a little bit about Bridge Street Cafe because I happen to be the contractor that was fortunate enough to work on that project. That was a transformation of what used to be Court Street Pizza. And before that, it was
A shoe shop. Out to Vista Shoe Shop.
yeah, and it was a florist for a while. Many different things. But the owner there is Jim Beck. They moved
Thrift store too.
from Philadelphia down down here and opened up Bridge Street Cafe. It's a great place to get coffee. He has bagels now that I think people who don't know should know. If you don't, you got to go in there. They're open right now, currently only on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday because Jim still works a full-time job in Philadelphia. So he drives back and forth.
Oh man, every time we go by there on the weekend,
They're busy.
yeah,
yes.
they got a good crowd out there.
And so once he retires, he plans on opening up full-time. It's got an outdoor seating, so eventually I think he's probably going to have some live bands, things like that. So it'll grow. If you get a chance to go in, please go into Bridge Street Cafe. Tell Jim we said hi and that we sent you. So that brings us to our segment of people who have emailed.
Oh,
The
and we got
show.
some good ones this one.
We did.
Man.
And so we started to get some feedback. So this one comes. This is the one. Well, let me get to the other one first. I like the other one first.
I always get excited though, like when I check the email account, the
Well, I
Life
like-
Liberty Happiness.
yes,
I'm like,
exactly.
ooh, look at this.
And I told people, look, if you email, you can email complaints, you can email good things, bad things, whatever you want to say, and you don't have to put your name to it.
no,
So,
they didn't,
and this one didn't, and I like
No,
it. So
yeah.
this one is called Inquiring Minds.
which is a great name to put.
I like the email that they put.
What was the email again? I can't remember.
at gmail.com.
What a great one.
So this person wants to know question from Public Works Director. It's a question from has the Public Works Director ever received requests from council members to complete special tasks and favors? And if so, could you elaborate on them? Since he's here, he can answer, but I will be glad to answer
Cut
for
the
you.
grass at yours and Bart's house, right?
No, here's what I can tell you the way I'll answer that, and I know this to be fact. I'm sure council members have asked DW to do things, but here's what I will tell you. The same thing he told me when I asked him one time. I said, hey, I'd like to burn some stuff down at my shop, and I'm looking for a burn barrel. And he said, we get them at the landfill all the time. Come by, I'll drop one off, whatever. And I even asked DW one time, I said, I don't want you to do anything. He said, no. If any citizen calls, I'm going to do the same thing for them.
Yeah.
And so I will say, I'm sure council members have asked him to do something, but I can guarantee you 1,000% his answer will be, it's whatever anybody asks him to do. He's only going to do what, what he can do, and he will help anybody in the town. So if the insinuation is that he does, or that council members want things for this, I don't know of any rampant special request. I'm not sure, what the emailer is getting to, but I will say I don't know of any.
No.
And would you say that, DW? There's
Yeah, I would agree.
So that was our first one. Our second one is I'm pulling it up on my email here. Right here. So this one is from I Wonder.
Another good one. Another good email address.
So this one is from wondering@lifeliberty.com.
They're okay.
So they must wondering if they like the show,
That's
but
it.
we'll get to their question. What is your stance on how council members will vote in January for the COLA increase and bonuses for employees? If town employees received CARES Act funding, which they did, will they substitute that pay for bonuses or pay increase?
That's a good one though, because that live stream, I believe, went 4 hours on that particular meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so I can give a little background on this because obviously I'm on town council and I'll be coming off in January. But there was a big discussion over cost of living increases and bonuses this year for council. Because we were in the middle of COVID, there was a lot of council members who didn't think it would look good to give town employees bonuses or cost of living increases. I disagreed with that, and another council member disagreed with that too. not because of the way it looks. I don't really care the way it looks. Here's what I know, and it goes back to kind of what Bart had alluded to earlier in DW, that the work that these town employees put in, I'm not sure that the public knows
Yeah.
the amount of hats that they wear. And not to mention the hats, it's just the level of service that they provide. You know, Sonia, who is the finance director, her job is to make sure that we're paying our bills, we do everything right, blah, 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 right? But it's also putting the budget together and working with the town manager. They can do that. Council can pass budgets and everything moves on. That's not who we have at the town of Bedford. We have staff that says that's not good enough. I want us to strive to win awards on budgets.
Mm-hmm.
And we've won awards, multiple awards on
Yeah.
budgets. She's constantly looking out for the taxpayer. And that's just one example, one department. I can go down the list. DW, where, I mean, I don't, people probably think Public Works cuts grass and maybe snow removal, maybe that, but they don't realize it's the same people that cut the grass. It's the same people that do the snow removal. It's the same people that do the landfill.
Pick up
Mhm.
trash.
They're all one people. They're just doing it all the time. When
Yeah.
there's events, guess what? They're the same people
That's
that
it.
are
Every
working
event I've
the
been to.
events.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you're putting up barriers to close the streets, it's the same people. So we had done a study on pay raises. I would say 2 years ago, I think it was. Is that right? It was 2 years ago, where we did have a section of the town that we had to substantially increase their pay because they were so far behind, right? So we got caught up.
Yeah.
So we're good to go there. But my argument was, if we go back to,
Mm-hmm.
we weren't giving them a 20% cost of increase. It was a 2%. And I said, look, we've got a great budget here. So anyway, long story short, we voted half and half. So we decided to give 1% now, which was back then in July, and then we would relook at it again in January. And so that's what the question is about.
Yeah.
I will not be part of that vote because I won't be on council. If I had to tell you how I think it's going to go, I would say you're probably going to have 3 in favor of bonuses and or COLAs, and the other 4 against. That would be my guess. I will bring it up on the next council meeting to see if we can have Christmas bonuses. Because I think the whole reason for waiting was to see how our revenues look.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've got a pretty good snapshot.
Yeah.
And I was guaranteed by multiple council members who wanted to wait that they would look at the numbers and make a judgment. I kind of got the sense of they didn't care what the numbers were going to be. They were going to vote against it anyway. Yeah. But I want to hold their feet to the fire, and I want to find out. And so I'll bring it up in the next to see at least about Christmas bonuses. The COLA, I will not be a part of. That is a part of a future council because that's when they decided to push this off to. Maybe it was strategic.
Oh,
you never know. But no, I guarantee you they don't think that far in advance. I can criticize now. But anyway, so that answers, hopefully that answers your question, Mr. or Mrs. I Wonder.
Wondering.
And the last but not least, I think I have this one here, is from our Cool Club, Diane Erb.
Oh, yes, Diane.
Yep. Feedback and points. I'm going to read this. It's a little lengthy. Diane, I think, likes to type. And I like to read, but I'm not very good at it. Because there's another quick story. Bart and I attend the same Sunday school class. And Bart, it gets to a segment where you have to read a Bible verse, right?
Yeah.
And it gets quiet, uncomfortably quiet, waiting for the person to speak up. And it's always Bart.
Yeah.
So I lately have kind of signaled him, guess what? You've got the next verse. That way it's no silence
That's
waiting.
right, yeah.
Well, every time I do that, and you can attest to it, every time I do that, someone pipes in and starts reading, and I'm like, they just messed my whole schedule.
They messed it up.
So anyway, I'm going to read this. I'm going to attempt to read it. This is good morning. Great podcast this week, which we could stop right there. But
That's it. That's it. She's already in the Cool Club for life.
Brian, you made excellent points on how community needs to get more involved. Be proactive instead of reactive. I've been saying this. I'm trying to read it on my email. I've been saying this for years. I think the town of Bedford needs to have a community day. And this is, she said, hear me out. A couple of food trucks, activities, and most importantly, tables, booths set up for town economic development, county economic development events, me and even John Hayden, Welcome Center, etc. Try to give people the benefit of the doubt and assume that they don't know how to get started. This basically can help them. Being involved, at least in staying informed. Also, if anyone reached out to Bedford County Schools, all middle schools and high schools, to connect with the government history teachers and updates for students, the parents can attend council members. Just a few random thoughts. I will say, Bart and I have talked about this a couple times. There used to be a community day, right? Wasn't it? For town employees, wasn't there one time?
Oh, we've had events for employees, yes.
Yeah, we've had picnics and stuff like that.
But I kind of talked about that where I thought if we had an event where the community could come and community put it on for the town employees, because it's always the town employees are working these events.
Yeah.
Do an event where the town employees get to come.
That's
and
right.
the community does the work. I think that would help get them involved.
I like that.
So that's a route. And the other part we have talked about having, and we do, Diane, by the way, we do have people come from the high school and talk to council occasionally and get involved that way. We've had a couple interns. I think your son interned, Bart, last year. And then before that, I think Thomas Messier interned for a while. So we've had those things. So, well, that wraps up another show. A good show. It's almost perfect timing.
That's it. We nailed it.
You know, maybe in the future, like I said, we'll be live eventually.
Yep.
Again, we got to have your feedback. Give them where they can email us.
All right, so we've got multiple avenues now. So, and each one, feel free. I mean, any one of them to reach out. Email address is lifelibertyhappinesspodcast@gmail.com. You can also go to the website at lifeliberty.us. And we are now on Facebook, and we have enough likes to have our own username. So, Life, Liberty, Happiness Podcast on Facebook. So, we will post the episodes on there. Feel free to share. I know Chris. Thank you, Chris. Shout out to Chris for sharing episodes and sharing on his profile and everything. So keep sharing, talking, communicating, and we welcome the feedback.
One last note: I will be leaving to go out of town for a couple of weeks. Yeah. So, quote, our next week's guest is Watts Key.
That's right.
So look forward to getting that next week. We'll tape it this week, but you'll get it next week. Yeah. But we may even give out some snippets of it.
Yeah,
depends on
teasers.
Yeah. So look forward to that podcast next week. I'll be gone the following week, so DW will probably fill in for me.
Yep.
And I know the show will immediately gain at least a couple. Two.
Yeah, we're just going to talk stories about Brian, right, DW?
Oh, yeah.
That's the plan, right? While he's gone? Okay, perfect.
Well, then there's a boring show for you. Anyway, that wraps up this show, and we'll see y'all next week.